Hi, this is the Ent,
I'm the Griffin.
I'm the Unicorn.
and we're making a video for downthehobbitholeblog.com. We're here today to talk about the movies that are coming out in Phase 4 of the Marvel Universe. So we're just going to go ahead and dive right in. So the first one is actually a really debated one because it's technically not part of the MCU. It's called The New Mutants. The reason that we're including it is because although it's not part of the MCU, I think it has a really good chance to introduce the X-Men that will eventually enter into the MCU.
I think that's probably the easiest way to get them in the MCU, unless somehow through the multiverse.
Yeah.
But I think it works.
Yeah, you gotta find some way to integrate them at some point because.
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah.
Well, why would you want a standalone universe that haven't done that with anything else?
Yes. Yeah. And from what we hear, they're kind of using this movie to kind of separate themselves from the existing X-Men universe. They're kind of letting go of the Patrick Stewart and James McAvoy. Yeah, they're great, but it looks like we're kind of pushing away from that and kind of rebooting it, which honestly, in my opinion, X-Men could do with a good reboot.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, after you lose Hugh Jackman and just all the classic people.
Right, especially after Dark Phoenix lost so bad at the box office. Like, yeah, it's just time for a new look.
Yep.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, of course, then coming up also you got Black Widow, which is a whole different, it's a prequel.
Right.
But how much of that is going to be moving something forward? Because it's weird to go back in time.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
We know the outcome.
Yeah, especially after the results of Endgame.
Yeah.
In which I will just declare from probably this point on, spoilers.
Yeah. If you haven't watched Endgame, you're watching this.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
where have you been?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously Black Widow dies.
Wait, I didn't know that
my
part.
gosh.
Wait, was that an alternate? Okay. All right. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So she's dead. So it comes to your point. It's like why this movie?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, a lot of fans, including myself, have been clamoring for a Black Widow movie
Right.
up
That's
to this point.
That's been a thing that everyone's wanted for so long now.
Yeah.
Well, and you would say, oh, because she's female, but now you have Captain Marvel, so you don't need that. So, and again, I'm not trying to just put why you would do something, but it is odd to go back in history. But I think they said it's after Civil War, but before everything happens with Infinity War.
Right.
And so it really is this weird time.
It's a weird time to do it, but at the same time, a lot of fans have asked for a movie that explains what
Yeah,
happened.
there's a lot of things fans ask for, though.
That's fair. That is fair.
I ask for a lot of things and don't give it a sheet.
I do wonder if this movie is actually going to lead potentially to a new Black Widow that we have going forward. I know they're doing something similar with Hawkeye on the Disney Plus show that we'll talk about in another video. But I do wonder if that's what it's aiming to lean towards.
Yeah, because they're already in production, so they're already filming it. There's already been set photos that have been released, and we know that there's another leading lady in this movie that is under
Natasha.
Natasha. So who knows?
Could be.
There's comic book precedent. So
Yes, well, there's comic books for everything.
literally. All right. So next we wanted to talk about the Eternals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Probably one of the least known, like, plot-wise. No one really knows much about this movie at this point.
Yeah, I don't even know that much about it.
Yeah, so I think the question, not the question, but like the very fact we know is like the beings that have been here since like the beginning of time is what all the information we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so will it play all the way up to what happened, and why haven't they been around? They've been around since the beginning.
Yeah.
And everything that's happened, even back in the attack on New York, where were they?
Yeah.
Although, as I say that, we learned in Endgame that like Doctor Strange's, my mind just blanked, his predecessor, she was fighting in the battle. We didn't know it at the time because they're putting her back in there. Ancient One, thank you. So
I do wonder as well, because obviously with the death of Thanos, we don't currently have like an overarching villain. I wonder if we might get introduced to that villain in this movie.
That would make
as
sense.
like even maybe the thing that's been like over Thanos the whole time. Maybe.
Yeah, that's a good idea, or a good point.
Yeah. So those movies are all coming out in 2020. So the first movie of 2021 will be Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Admittedly, I am not very familiar with the lore of this movie as well, but doing some research, we actually did figure out that the Legend of the Ten Rings has actually been in the MCU pretty much since the beginning, which has been really interesting. You want to talk about Iron Man, because you know...
Yeah, well, so the people, the terrorists that attacked Iron Man, or captured Iron Man, were the Ten Rings. In fact, even in Iron Man 2, it starts talking, he's been going around trying to destroy the Ten Rings. Mandarin, of course, in Iron Man 3 was the Ten Rings, but not probably the Ten Rings. And so what role did it have? So it's, they've been around, but they're always in the background, which is really fascinating.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how if they go back to where they've been referenced and mentioned in a part of the stories in the past to build upon that, like they did in Far From Home with the Jake Gyllenhaal's villain crew, building off of that same idea, or will they come up with some new way to incorporate them?
We don't talk about Spider-Man anymore.
Yeah, he's
not allowed to do that.
Sorry.
Since the divorce.
Sorry.
So they got custody. So cheering up. Well, and hopefully that'll get worked out. But yeah, I think what's interesting for me though is that like the Ten Rings are cool, but now that there's been this whole galactic thing, it's really hard to put the genie back in the bottle on, like, it's gonna be hard for me for it not to be a letdown. Like, oh wow, so you're gonna blow up people.
But at the same time, that's what is happening in Far From Home.
That's true.
And people took that.
That's true.
You know?
You're right.
It wasn't
and I loved it.
Big galactic.
You brought in Spider-Man again, but it's okay. You like yourself some Tom Holland. I heard that in another video. All right.
Link below.
All right, so then then we have Doctor Strange, which I think is going to be really cool in the multiverse of madness.
Yes.
Yeah, even that title just makes me go like, where's the movie?
I know.
Where's the movie now?
I know I wanted one more M word in there. I have a trifecta of M. But so you've got Scott Derrickson, who's horror writer, writing it. They're saying this is going to be the first true horror movie for Marvel.
Yeah, which I'm curious to see what that means. What does that mean? You know?
And so, just so people aren't freaked out by the fact that there's a new director, it's the same guy who did the first movie.
Yeah.
He just also, before that, if you're a horror movie person, he did Sinister, he did The Exorcism of Emily Rose, so he kind of created his career based on horror movies.
Yeah.
Before Doctor Strange, and he did Doctor Strange. It looks like they're going to be doing that. I am interested to see how deep they go into horror, because that's just something that the Marvel Cinematic Universe really hasn't touched very much.
Well, and Disney doesn't tend to do that. They like the family-friendly. In fact, there's a video I was watching a while back talking about how once Disney fully took over, it's much, much more family-friendly than it even started on drinking and some of the other things, even in Iron Man, because they want the family-friendly movie. So a family-friendly horror movie sounds a little odd to me.
Right?
I'll be taking my kids
I'm open
to it.
to it. Yeah. I mean, I grew up on Nightmare Before Christmas. I think that.
There you go.
Which is Disney, actually.
That's a good point. The other thing to bring into that conversation is Wanda.
Yeah.
Is in this. Wanda's one of my favorite heroes. It'll be really interesting to see how they incorporate her. Most people have thought that it's going to be, Doctor Strange is going to be a bit of her mentor, since they have similar powers. And it'll be interesting to see how she fits into the whole thing.
I think so too. That many have said that she hasn't really begun to harness her powers yet, but she went toe to toe with Thanos. Like
he made it. She made him sacrifice his troops, basically.
And which I love that he didn't even know who she was.
Yeah, that is one of my lines. That's legitimately one of my favorite lines.
I don't know who you are. Yeah, so
you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Such a good.
It is well, and she's powerful. And which again, I go, not to go back in time, but to say, well, why are we doing a Black Widow movie when Scarlet Witch would be so much better? But to be able to flesh her out, I guess, a little bit in that Doctor Strange would be better. So.
Yeah, and then the last movie that they have announced right now that we're going to talk about today is Thor: Love and Thunder.
That just sounded like a funny title.
It does.
Love and Thunder.
So it's going to be a very interesting movie because we've seen Thor pretty much give up the ownership of Asgard. He's passed over the leadership to Valkyrie. And it's already been announced that Natalie Portman will be coming back, which will be exciting.
And becoming Thor.
And becoming Thor.
It's a pretty big. That's a pretty giveaway. Like, I'm surprised they
Yeah.
weren't even willing to give that away versus,
Yeah.
hey, now he's gonna be back for a really cool role.
Yeah.
Right. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they do that. But it's gonna be a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Well, and I think one of the things to think about is that if giving up leadership of Asgard, becoming whatever it was he was in a middle-aged man basically in Endgame, if that's not enough to make him unworthy, is it something else that would make him unworthy, or would he be sick?
Yeah.
That he has to give away the mantle of Thor?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just an interesting idea.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's not Valkyrie, that it's not Sif, it's not someone else who's a warrior, it's Jane Foster.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing that people have talked about a lot is people, of course, want Loki to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Which is one of the classic characters in Thor. But there's no confirmation on that.
Yeah, and
I think
he's getting his own TV show,
Yeah.
Right.
which once again we'll talk about in another video.
Yeah.
But that's also kind of a different Thor than like the one we lost
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Infinity War.
It's
Because this is just evil Loki. But
Right.
even in the show, it sounds like he might be doing a little bit of anti-hero-ness.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think it's gonna be hard to hate him always, but you're
Yeah.
right, because that's kind of who he is now. As the original.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So those are all the movies from Marvel Phase 4 that we know about so far. I'm not sure they're going to be announcing any others. They actually have already several movies announced for Phase 5 already, but that's a little bit much. So we'll leave that for another video maybe. But yeah. So once again, I'm the Ent.
I'm the Griffin.
Not me, Unicorn.
Yeah, and we're from downthehobbitholeblog.com, so I'll put that link down below. We'd love for you to check out. We're gonna have all the reviews for these movies. We'd love for you to check them out.
And also put a comment on what you're thinking from
Yeah,
what sometimes
for
we've
sure.
talked about. We'd love for you to comment and give us your thoughts, and we would love to get back with you.
And if this is a year later, tell us everything we got wrong.
That's right. Like, they didn't even do that movie.
Yes.